Hello and welcome to 2025 Nissan Rogue Review. I'm going to try and tell you something about this car that nobody else seems to talk about. This is one of the most amazing vehicles I've ever driven, and I've driven a lot of cars. Nissan Rogue, not that exciting, just your average mid-sized SUV in a crowded world of SUVs that are mid-sized. What do you got on the front here? With the new design on SUVs, nothing too exciting. What's on the side? Looks pretty good. Nice paint. I like Nissan paint. I like their styling. It's got a nice set of 235 18s on here. This is the SV package. It's got a bunch of cargo room in the back, a bunch of back seat room. Everything's good. But let's talk about why this thing is so amazing and why I think it's worth your time and why all the other reviews I've read I don't think are accurate. So I'm a big sports car guy. I love sports cars. I own lots of sports cars. I currently have a BMW 5 Series, an older one that's really focused on performance. Why is this Nissan Rogue so good? I'm going to tell you why. It's because of the sport mode and why the sport mode is so good. So the deal with this thing is it's got a 1.5 liter 3-cylinder turbocharged variable compression engine with a CVT transmission. What does all of this mean, Alex? Also, very nice interior. This thing has the quality of an Infiniti of just a few years ago. It is so nice in here. Nice touchscreen. This gear shift works fine once you get used to it, which is very quickly. Automatic parking mode. And then here's the button, of which everything matters about. Sport mode, standard mode, eco mode. I never even tried eco mode because, eco mode. But this is what makes it awesome. So this engine has variable compression. It's the only engine I think it's ever been made of that. What does that mean? It means it can change how much the piston moves up, which changes the compression ratio, and compression ratio is everything. With a turbocharger, you generally need a low compression ratio so the engine doesn't explode. If you don't have it, you can run a really high compression ratio for efficiency. What this thing can do is change the compression ratio and the turbocharger and the transmission at the same time. So what does that mean? It means that most cars, when you hit sport mode on it, it doesn't do anything. Maybe the transmission changes a little bit, maybe a little faster shift, but this thing can change everything. It can change when the compression ratio changes, when it builds boost, and the gearing. So this thing rips. It's so good. It's like a GTI Volkswagen, in my opinion. When you put it in sport mode, it pulls all the time. It makes 200 horsepower, 225 foot-pounds of torque, probably at the wheels. This thing's front-wheel drive, and the traction control will kick in all the time when you honk on it. Because 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 0 to 60 miles an hour, this thing rips. It's great. I drove this thing I'm in Palm Springs, on a very twisty road up through the mountains, like crazy. It was so awesome. There's a cafe at the top full of pictures of Ducatis and Ferraris and stuff. People come there for a reason. This thing was awesome. It has so much power crawling up through mountains. I can't believe this is a standard SUV. It also corners well. The steering is like a little bit numb, but the feedback is good. It has great brakes. They're quite powerful, decent feel. But this thing is just like, oh, you want to go fast? I will just make first gear super short. When it accelerates normally, it acts like a normal transmission. It's like, meow, meow. And the little 3-cylinder makes an excellent little noise. They made it originally as a 2-liter for the Infiniti, so they just lopped a cylinder off to put it in this thing. But it makes a great little growl. And so normally it's like, meow, meow, meow. But if you floor it to get onto a California highway, it just goes, meow, right? The most efficient, most powerful way. For an SUV, this thing corners great. I had this thing absolutely ripping. It doesn't even lean that much. It's amazing. And it rips away all the time. It is so fun just accelerating. You don't even have to go to the floor up to like 80 kilometers an hour. It pulls great. I cannot believe this is like a normal SUV now. This thing is great. The reviews I read on this said, oh, it's not that sporty, it's adequate. I think if you've been driving around Teslas and, Rivians and stuff, you get in this thing, it doesn't seem that fast. But this thing rips. I have some reasonably quick cars, and I still think this thing hauls the mail, and it's really fun, and it's beautiful inside. I like normal climate control, normal things, normal gauges, and it's very pretty outside. It handles well, it's quick, it has everything. It's like the ultimate. Everything can vary. For normal driving mode, oh, it just poodles along, whatever. Makes excellent mileage. But sport mode is where it's at. It really makes this thing fun to drive. It's excellent. I can't believe that a Nissan Rogue, which is normally El Borino, You know, that's what you would think. And I drove a 2016 Rogue just recently, and it was fine. It was a completely fine car, but this thing is in another galaxy. The sport mode makes it so good. I really like it. I like Nissans. It's going to be reliable. It's going to last. It makes great mileage. And it has all variable compression, turbocharging, and a CVT that's actually good. I drove a Maxima with a CVT once, and it was excellent. I've driven Subarus with CVT, and they are boring, and they suck. Blah. This thing's like... Blah, 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 blah. I've had such a great time driving this, especially in four-wheel drive back in Canada. This is a real contender. I will never look at these the same way again. Let me know your opinion. What do you think? Also, I used the paddle shifts on this. They work great. I was using them descending the mountains, and it picks the ratio, really locks it in there, and descends nicely with engine braking. And you can accelerate on it. Works great. Also, the self-drive on this works really well. I used it on the highway. The radar cruise kept a really nice distance. It was very smooth. It brakes as much as it needs to. It accelerates up. The auto steer completely works. I only use the basic Pro Pilot mode. But I can't believe for $40,000 Canadian, you get a GTI handling, self-driving SUV that's actually good and really handles. What a world we live in. Anyways, hope you found this interesting. Please consider like, subscribe, let me know your comments, and I'll see you in the next one.